Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us in this webinar. Today, we are going to talk about our new module, which is for structural steel detailing. It's a module that you will find it in our program StruBIM Steel. Today, my colleague David is with me. He's the BIM architect, and he works in the technical support department in CYPE. And myself, I'm Marta. I am the business development for CYPE Steel Products, and you have my email address there, just in case you have any questions or you want to send me an email with any queries. So it's marta.franca@cype.com. And also you can send any questions through the chat in here, and we'll try to answer to all the questions today. But if we cannot for any reason, we'll send you an email or contact you to give you the answer to your question. So, David. Hello, David. Say hello.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for the introduction.
No problem. You are going to show us today a little bit of Site 3D, just so people know about it. The ones that don't know it, they know that we have Site 3D, which is for analyzing, analyzing steel structures. And after that, you're gonna send that model done and analyze in Site 3D to the new module or StruBIM Steel, and you will show how to use this new module and Site Connect. Is that right?
Exactly.
Okay.
So
yeah, StruBIM, yes, the new module is for designing and extracting the steel detailing drawings, and Site Connect is in the module, is embedded in the module, and you could do design, analyze, and extract the drawings as well for the connections. And then if you want to start, David, maybe it's easier if they see it, just so we can understand the process of our workflow. So through BIMserver.center, and you can show them where they can download the 3 programs as well, which is you are showing it at the moment. You have to go to BIMserver.center. If you don't have an account, it's free. So open one and go to our store and look for these 3 tools. You go to the structural analysis part of the web, and you can find there, you can see the 3 modules, the 3 tools right there, and you can download them and try it. You can try them for free for a little while and see how it works. Okay, so I'll leave you with my colleague, David.
Thank you very much, Marta. So as you said, today what we're going to do is that we're going to reuse a structural model that we've created previously with Site 3D, but this model can come from any structural solution out there, provided that you can export an IFC file from it. You can upload.
Just 1 second. So we switch off our cameras just so they can see the whole screen, the people?
Sure.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
No problem.
So as I was saying, you can export an IFC file with your structure from any kind of solution that supports that feature, including, of course, our very own Site 3D. And if you choose to do so in Site 3D, we already have an integration here with BIMserver.center. So if you click here on Share, you will be able to generate an IFC file that already contains the forces that you're going to use for the joint design, for the connection design. But of course, if you're using third-party software, that's something that you can do as well if you use our very own IFC Uploader, which is completely free of charge, and it will allow you to, as the name implies, upload an IFC file containing your structure to a project on BIMserver.center. So you will be able to reuse that data. You can see here, if we switch back to Site 3D, that we've already sized all of our elements, and we already have here all the forces that we're going to use for the final analysis if necessary, because both in SAP Connect as well as in StruBIM Steel, we can also design our joints not only from the detailing side of things, but also in the check-in and analysis side of things as well. So once we're finished with that, we can start a new project on StruBIM Steel. So let's open here a new instance. We can have multiple instances running at the same time, as you can see here. And when we start a new project, you will see that we will be able to either start from scratch or we can reuse the data that we were talking about before. You can see here that we can link our project to a BIMserver.center project, and we can select the project that contains all of this data. You can see here that I have several projects that I've created with my colleagues as well. And once I select my project, I will be able to import all the data that I'm going to use for the joint design, steel detailing, analysis, and so on. Once we're done, we'll have something that looks like this right here, which I've already done previously. And once you have your structure here, you will be able to work out of the box with all the project details that we have. Let's take a look here. And you can see that the StruBIM Steel interface is made up of these different ribbons right here. So if we want to, for example, set up our project, we can take a look at the BIM model for all the sections that it contains, as well as any other kind of BIM elements that we may add later, like plates, bolts, anchors, welds, and so on. We can
Okay,
even...
David, sorry, I have a question. Can we choose the profiles that we want to use? Then,
yeah, of course.
Can we change them, choose, I mean, is it personalized? Can I personalize, or can I choose the ones I want to use?
Yeah, of course, if you already have all of that data in your IFC file, like for example here, you can see that we can check which profiles we're using. You will see that we can reuse that data, and inside StruBIM Steel, we also have a wide variety of elements and materials that we can use. So if you want to work with different steel grades, or if you want to work with different steel sections, that's something that we support by default. You can see that we can work either with rolled steel or with built-up sections, cold form, tubular, you name it. And of course, you can always customize them to your liking, and you can even import and export all these libraries so you can reuse them later.
Okay, so you are saying that we can create our own library, isn't it?
Exactly.
Okay, thank you.
And of course, all the physical properties that we set up here for our section libraries, they will be used both for the detailing, but they will also will be used later if necessary for the design and the analysis of our joints.
Okay. David, what about the codes? Can I choose the codes I want to use?
Of course. by default, we come with many different building codes from around the world. So if you want to check your joints against building codes like, for example, the British Standard, the American Standard, the Euro Code, Brazilian or Indian Standard, that's something that you can do by default with steel as well as even concrete.
Ah, great.
And you can always customize the different coefficients that you're going to use for the final checks, including, of course, rotational stiffness.
Okay.
So I'm going to show you now another project that I've created previously. So you can take a look at how all of this works. But by default, what we can do is that we can automatically generate the joints that we have in our model, or if necessary, we can create them manually as well, which is what I've done here by selecting the different elements that are going to create my joint right here. And once I have it, I will be able
Okay.
to design
Yeah.
step by step
I was
the.
going to ask you, yeah, how can I
Mhm.
create and design a connection? But you're going to show it.
Yeah, you can see that right out of the box, we start with an empty canvas, so to speak. We have all these different sections that are clashing between themselves, and it's just a matter of adding a series of operations, things like adjustments, trims, and plates, and of course the actual joint elements like bolts, welds, anchors, stiffness, and so on to design my joint. And if necessary, if I've already created a joint, for example, I can create my very own connections library so I can reuse the data from one project to the other. So let's switch to the other project that I was talking about. And you can see here that I've already designed some of the joints that I'm going to analyze and I'm going to uh, export into different formats later for the drawings as well as for the machining and so on. And you can see that inside StruBIM Steel, we can work either with individual parts, assemblies, and joints. And these will be relevant later when we generate drawings, as you will see here. So let me show you, as I was telling you before, how we can design a joint very quickly here. And we start from scratch here, and it's just a matter of adding the different operations that I'm going to use to define my actual joint. So for example, in this case, I would like to add a small profile, a small section between sections V1 and V2, so I can have this purlin into this pin right here already fixed. And as you can see, I can customize the different properties of each operation, of each element that I add in here. In this case, I'm working with an L section right here, but I can work with ICs, box sections, and they all work with the libraries that we've created previously. And if necessary, we can always customize the different parameters for its physical properties, its dimensions, and so on. And now that I have my profile here ready, I'm going to add a plate like so. And you can see that I can change the material if necessary. In this case, we're working with standard steel, but you can see that we can work with any different element that we've set before in the materials and codes. And of course, I can change things like its geometry. Like for example, here I could change the thickness. I could change also the position, the attachment style that we're going to have for these elements. So it could be directly attached to the profile, or it could be just a connection, like so, free in a 3D space, or it could be perpendicular, you name it. And of course, we can also change the displacements, the dispositions. You can see here that have this Y and Z axis here. So you get an idea of where we are starting from when we're working with these displacements. Now I'm going to add also some bolts because it's going to be a bolted connections, you will see here, and add bolts right here. And if we want to, we can add them manually, like so, or we can use the bolt generator if we are working with huge arrays of bolts, as you can see here. It's just a matter of setting the distances between the main axis as well as between the different rows and columns of bolts right here. Just like we did before, we can also set up which type we're going to use as well from the library of materials, material that we're going to use for the specific bolt, and so on. And I'm going to do the same for the other bolts that we're missing right here. And once we're done, we can export this if we want into our very own connections library. So we can reuse this later. So let's name it, for example, Berlin joint 1. And you can see here that it is now available with the rest of the joints that we have created previously for our project right here.
So at the moment, just to make clear to everyone, what David is showing is our program SIPE Connect. He opened it from StruBIM Steel, but you can buy this program alone as well. So you can have this program on its own, and it's to design, analyze, and create the drawings for finite elements, isn't it, David?
Exactly. You can use StruBIM Steel just to get the detailing, or you can also use it to analyze your joint. So let's say, for example, that if you're working in a manufacturing job in a steel workshop and you need to have some adjustments and you would like to check them on the fly against the building code that you are working with, that's something that you can do with StruBIM Steel as well. And of course, once we've finished modeling, we can analyze our joints if necessary. In this case, we are working with the OpenSys engine developed by the University of Berkeley, California. And as we have said before, we're working with a finite element analysis engine. So that means that we're going to discretize all of our elements into shells, springs, point elements, and so on. And of course, later we will be able to generate reports such as summaries and tech reports. And if you're just interested in generating the drawings, that's something that you can generate automatically as well. But not only for joints, of course. In this case, with SIPE Connect, we can generate drawings just for the joints, as you can see here. But if we want to generate a drawing for things like, for example, assemblies and other kinds of groupings, that's something that we can also set up as well.
Yeah, that's the beauty of having StruBIM Steel now, because at the moment, before having the new module, we could only extract the drawings for the join, the connection. But now you can extract drawings for the connection, the assemblies, and the parts.
So for example, here you can see that I have a couple assemblies like this one right here, and they are made out of individual elements, that is bars, joints, and so on. And the program will automatically generate the drawings for these elements as well. As you can see here in the sheets ribbon, I can generate drawings for the individual parts, assemblies for these groups that we're talking about, individual joints, and we can even have module views with floor plans, elevations, sections, you name it. And all of this, of course, is generated automatically as well.
So, David, can I use, do I have to do the drawings one by one, or can I use templates?
Actually, when we work with individual drawings, you can start from scratch or you can reuse the data that's been provided by you. And actually, let me show you here an example. We're going to generate our compositions, and you will see that we've numbered all the different parts and assemblies before. and the program will automatically generate all the drawings for these different parts, assemblies, joints, and so on. Like for
That's great.
example, here you can see that we have the other joint that we were talking about before. But if we're talking about things like, for example, assemblies,
Yeah.
or just parts drawings, you can see that the software generates all of that automatically. And
Mhm.
if I needed to change anything, like for example, if I wanted to have a different title block for my drawings, I could create templates as well. I could create a library with all of these templates, and I could reuse them all along the different drawings. You
Mhm.
can see that I haven't designed a single line of what you're seeing here. And
Mhm.
for things like parts and assemblies, software will automatically add all the elements that normally populate a drawing like this one. So if you want to have labels, or if you want to have dimensions, automatic title blocks, small build of quantities, and all of that, that's something that the software can generate automatically for you. And of
Mhm.
course, if you want to customize it, that's something that you can do as well, no problem whatsoever. Like for example, this drawing right here, this is a customized drawing of a joint, and I can populate it with as many different drawing elements as necessary. So if I
Fantastic.
want to add a dimension, for example, this would be read off of the BIM model, of course.
Mhm.
And as I mentioned before, we can also generate drawings for the full model, for the full structure. And just like we did before, we can customize that to our liking. So if I want to, for example, read some information off of the model, that's something that I can do with the help of smart tags, as you can see here. So
Mhm.
if I select, let's say, for example, this well right here, you can see that we are able to read the data from this element of the BIM model. Same thing applies, for example, with bolts, welds, joints, stiffness, everything basically.
Yeah, you have the detailed information, isn't it?
Exactly.
Mhm.
And if we go back, for example, to parts drawings, or if we want to uh, assembly drawings, same thing applies as well.
Mhm.
So for example, I could use my tag right here, my smart tags here, to give me some more information about any of the elements that I have designed previously.
Okay. Okay.
And of
And
course,
sorry,
oh, please go ahead.
I was going to ask you, how can I extract these drawings? Is there different formats? Or if you wanted to say something before that? Sorry,
I was going to show that actually. Thank you very
ah,
much.
okay.
You can see that once we finish with our drawings, we can print all of them or just a selection of them into different formats like DXF, DWG, and PDF.
Mhm.
So if you want to export them into different files or into a single file, that's something that you can do, no problem whatsoever. And of course, we're going to export vector images. And as I said before, we can work with PDF, DXF, and DWG drawings.
Mhm.
But of course, that's not the only format that we work with when we export all of this data. If you want, you can export all of this data also into a DSDB or a stack file. So you can
Mhm.
send all of this data directly to our manufacturing machinery.
Mhm.
And of course, if you've paid attention in all of our tools, we also have the BIMserver.center ribbon here. So if you want to export that data into BIMserver.center because you would like to work on top of this model, adding more layers of information, like for example, to generate a bill of quantities, or if you want to just use the uh, visualization tools that we have for augmented reality and virtual reality, that's something that you can do as well. This comes
Mhm.
included with BIMserver.center and it's free of charge as well. And when you upload any model to BIMserver.center, you will see that we already have a 3D view ready that we can either interact with directly in our browser, or that we could send to our mobile devices or to a set of VR glasses, if that's the case, to work with augmented reality and virtual reality.
Good. So going back to StruBIM Steel, sorry, David. I was going to ask you, if I have like a few connections that are the same or very similar, can I do I need to do them one by one, or can I also analyze them? Or do I have to do it by one by one, or can I group them?
Actually, as you can see here in the introduction ribbon, we can either go one by one or we can group the different connections. So that way, if we edit one connection, the changes will be reflected on the rest of that group. And also you can see that we can, by default, automatically group them as well when we start from scratch. So in this case, you can see that this first joint right here is grouped with this other one right here. So if I were to apply any changes to this joint, for example, it will also be reflected to this other one right here, and vice versa.
Okay.
Actually,
And then
let's
if
try
we
doing
make a change, we can then analyze all of them at the same time as well.
Exactly.
Okay.
Actually, you can, if you want to check them, if you want to run an analysis, you can do that individually, or you can just analyze a group of joints, as you can see here. We can analyze them all at the same time, or we can just hover into the ones that we want to analyze, and we will only analyze those ones, of course.
I can also see on the left-hand side of your screen those references, and we can call them tags or labels, however you want. And that's a very useful tool, isn't it?
Well, by default, we can automatically number of our parts and assemblies. And actually, when we generate our drawings, we will be asked to assign all of these different data to our elements. So that's something that, as you can see, we can do manually, or we can do only for a number of elements as well.
Okay.
And of course, it will be reflected into the drawings as well.
Okay. I have a one last question for you.
Sure, go ahead.
So if I finished the project and for some reason we want to change, I don't know, a measurement, or we want to do a different a change in a connection, do I have to create the drawings again?
Oh, well, there's no need for that actually. If you edit any of the properties from your joint, it's going to be reflected automatically into the drawings as well. Let me show you here, for example. So let's go here for this plate. I'm going to make it bigger. So for example, let's make it 200 by 200, just so we can show something that's a little bit ridiculous. Okay. And now if we go to our drawing tab here, you'll see that it's regenerating our drawings. So it contains all of these changes, as you can see here.
Okay.
And of course, if we had tags applied to that as well, those would be updated.
Okay, so I don't have to do the drawing again. It will be updated automatically.
Exactly.
Okay.
Okay, so if any of you have any more questions, we will make sure to keep in touch either directly through Marta Franca, or you can always keep in touch with us at the technical support department, support@CYPE.com. We try to answer as many questions as possible in the chat right now. And as I said,
yeah, you want to show us the second in the PowerPoint, just so they can see my email address again. Sorry, yeah, thank you. So yeah, if you have any questions or you need to know more about these programs, I can send you information. You have loads of information as well in our website. And of course, in BIMserver.center, you can join, you can create an account. It's free. And then you can have access to our store and you can download all these programs and test them. So please do. And if you have any questions, as I said, send me an email and I'll be happy to help. And I think that's all for today, isn't it, David?
I hope you guys have enjoyed this webinar today. And as we said before, if you have any more questions, don't hesitate to keep in touch with us. And hopefully see you next time.
Yeah, of course. Okay, goodbye, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.